I'm not sure if I can ever forgive you for how you sleep. Do you remember what happened when the guard captain came to visit us that morning?
I was asleep, love.
Yes, quite.
There's no point wearing clothes in bed.
Perhaps wearing bedclothes, that would have been enough.
Where am I supposed to keep them then?
Over yourself. That poor guard captain. I didn't know who to feel more sorry for, him or myself.
He's a captain, he's probably seen it all before.
Probably not from someone who has summoned him for a sensible conversation, which, thanks to Litonk, I did not get.
I didn't summon him.
No, you're more one of life's drifters. I feel like if I waited on you for anything to happen, nothing would. Anyway, as soon as we got down to the bar, Litonk decides that he's finally going to make an effort, and this comes in the form of smashing the most expensive thing behind the bar.
Yeah, he rather botched that one, didn't he?
It was agonising.
It was expensive. Not nearly as expensive as I understand the most expensive breakfast was.
Oh, bless Anna. She really did hold it together much better than I could have managed. But yes, there was the guard captain, and apparently he'd already seen the rats, and also thought I was completely crazy, because, and to be fair to him, I shouldn't have, I had been believing what Lord Moore had told us.
Well, there is that, of course. He was a strange one.
That's a gentle description.
I try to go for gentle generally.
I didn't like the idea of his axes. At what point does it become too many?
I will let you know if I find out.
I was dread to meet his cousin Thomas if apparently he was the one that was overkill.
Well, there is that, of course. So we decided to head back up to the manor, where we needed to travel just to try and speed things up a bit. Unfortunately, that monk decided he was going to try and ride poor Doggo. And I was not having that. So, rather than argue about it, he decided to run up the hill.
To be fair, you did hit him on the head.
I gave him one little tap on the pan.
One little tap to you is probably quite a big tap to a little him.
It was a proportionate tap.
Yes.
So, we got a cart, because that's a sensible thing when you've got someone as big as me.
Yes. And I do wonder why he felt like running was ever going to be a solution that was faster than what we were attempting to do.
I think the pan does something to his brain.
Does it make it more difficult to reach?
Possibly.
Well, I'm glad I managed to reach him when he got to the bottom of those cellar stairs.
Indeed, there was, I believe the technical term is a metric butt-ton of rats.
All with glowing eyes as well. What is it with that building and things that glow? It's astounding the man has lights.
Maybe he doesn't? I mean, have you really looked closely at them?
I do my best to avoid looking at anything in that building.
Yeah, the decor's a bit weird.
There was a chair just nailed to the wall. Who does that serve?
Perhaps it's some kind of art project? So anyway, we threw the flaming oil stuff down the stairs and killed all the rats.
Well, nearly all of them.
Well, there was a couple of big ones left.
Yes, I feel like we missed the more troublesome ones.
Maybe. They were about as big as the little fella.
And he just stood there.
He does that quite a lot.
It's infuriating.
True.
Does he not understand teamwork, or was he just hoping to be a rat's lunch?
Yeah, I think you'd have to ask him, Nev.
I lack the patience. Although Benjamin was quite cute.
He was a chatty little fella, and I hope he and Lord Maud get on very well.
I assume as long as the biscuits don't run out, they'll get on just fine.
Well, as long as Lord Maud's actually got some biscuits and isn't just nailing crazy to the rat.
Alright, so you guys left off, you are still in the estate.
Yeah, we're looking up some cellar stairs where Harvey's supposed to be at the top of them.
So at the top of the stairs, you see a figure shamble from the darkness. A rather tall, gaunt-looking man with wet-looking hair, as if he just maybe climbed out of a lake, and a mysteriously painted face with like pools of white where you think his eyes are.
I'm gonna touch myself and cast guidance. And then I'm gonna roll insight.
Well, that doesn't sound right.
I
That doesn't
know.
sound right.
And then can I do insight on what the hell is doing?
Okay.
Oh god. Insight's +6. So it's 16 plus 6 plus 2.
Oh, nice. So, trees focusing all of your wisdom magically, you kind of reach out and perceive. Some of the things that you notice are, it's not just the hair. It definitely seems like this creature crawled out of some kind of pond or
Sewer.
waters. Sewer, yeah, maybe. Because the whole body is wet. Despite this, unless you are reading all kinds of body language wrong, you don't find them approaching with any kind of hostile intent.
Mm-hmm.
They seem to just kind of be shambling.
Okay.
Can I do an arcana to see if it's magic making what looks like a zombie be upright?
Sure.
22, not natch.
Okay. I'm reading the arcana skill. It says lore about spells, magic items, eldritch symbols, magic tradition, planes of existence, and inhabitants of those planes. So there's nothing about it that seems inherently magical. It also doesn't look like how you understand necromancy to work.
I'm just going to mutter under my breath to trees that it doesn't look like necromancy, and then wait to see what happens.
Oh, you must be the other Lord Moore. How was your swim back across the river? Wasn't it you said, Will?
William starts to open his mouth, just as the being at the top of the stairs does as well, which coughs and sputters and then just violently throws up a bunch of water.
Delightful.
Oh, bless you. You're right.
Where am I?
You're in the Moore estate. Do you know what that is?
The creature kind of kneels over, like putting its hands on its knees, and like looks up at you, blinking. I'm assuming that you guys continue to approach as you were watching and trying to figure this guy out.
Certainly would have ducked out of the way of the vomit, but yeah, would have been generally approaching.
Yeah, no, I didn't assume that you guys went straight in for the vomit.
Dive towards her. Don't king shame me.
There's one thing this podcast doesn't do, it's king shame.
Yay!
Yeah, so as you've approached and gotten closer, it kind of kneels and like looks up at the four of you, blinking. William this entire time has not said anything, but he's got a big, like, stupid grin on his face.
You going to introduce us, Will?
Why, I have. This is my brother. And he like pats him on the back, which causes Harvey to like groan. Why am I all wet? He looks at the three of you.
I think William was explaining something about you swimming back across the river of life, was it?
River of life. He kind of sniffles and looks up at William. Again? At that, William just kind of laughs. Ha! Yes, your form was consumed once more by the mortal coil.
You've been back and forth a few times then, have you?
Kind of shaking himself off and like, standing up to his full height, he nods at you. At his tallest, he's at about like 6'1", so he's definitely shorter than you trees. Trying to remember what Enough's height is.
6'9".
So shorter than the both of you.
Is he shorter than me?
He's got a few inches on you, love.
Just a little bit taller than you, Latonk. Just a little bit. He looks between the two of you and then kind of looks down at Latonk. Even Harvey being slightly confused by the gnome with a pan on his head.
Halfling?
I'm a halfling.
Yeah, I know.
Is Doggo with us?
Doggo's always with us.
Yes.
In our hearts.
Yeah, Doggo's with you.
Oh, yeah. So, I goofed up my spells, but we talked it over with Nick, and I'm allowed to keep the dog.
I mean, yeah, at this point, like...
At this point, it's got Stockholm Syndrome, and knows we feed it.
Although you had magically compulsed it to be friends with you, it's been friends with you in its recent memory long enough that it just assumes that you're friendly. It is not a smart enough creature, having been through death and then life again,
Ooh, there's spoilers for us.
have much of a... You knew it was a zombie dog.
I didn't realise it was actually dead.
Yeah, you said it was a creature of the night, vaguely.
I would swear to Jesus that one of you guys said that you called it a zombie dog. So
We don't get to set the canon.
I got the impression it was undead.
I got the impression it was possessed.
Yeah, that's what I thought it was too.
all
Or at
right.
least controlled by the goblin.
Well,
or something.
I guess I'll go fuck myself.
I
Does that
mean,
mean
we've
we
probably
win?
got time. It's usually Teresa's job, but I suppose the DM gets to do it too.
God damn it! All right. Yes, the dog is there. Out of the four of you, Doggo included, he kind of understands the dog. He just kind of kneels down and like wriggles his fingers. The dog coming over to sniff his hand. So, all right, I died, and my brother brought me back again. So, what does that make you all?
Confused, sir.
Adventurers just here to help.
He kind of stands up and looks William over. William is still standing by, grinning maniacally, and he goes, "Well, are you okay?" And William responds by just clicking his teeth, and then bringing up Benjamin the rat. Harvey like pats him on the shoulder, gives Benjamin a little pat on the head, and he goes, "All right, well, thank you, but I think you need to go lay down. It's never easy making me a map through the river." William lowers Benjamin, just looking a little bit disappointed, but kind of nods. "Yes, my faculties are not completely intact. It could be best that I look for a reprieve." He's gesturing to your little group, and he goes, "Harvey, would you mind seeing after our guests? I must retire to the chambers."
One moment, Lord Moore.
When you say Lord Moore, they both kind of turn at you.
Lord William, sir. And she's starting to look quite annoyed now. Am I to understand that this is a family trait?
This...
Somewhat impermanent relationship with death?
Yes.
Then am I to understand that you might have made a fool of me, sir?
He looks confused. How so?
I promised you the assistance you requested. In return, for the Moors estate and surrounding land and titles. Upon your demise. It appears you don't possess one. Can you understand why I might feel you could have mentioned this sooner?
Harvey looks sideways at William. You did what?
Say what?
William looks very sheepish and goes, "Well, my brother and I can pass this mortal coil, and if the two of us were to both pass, it would be likely a permanent situation, though fortunately that circumstance has yet to arrive.
If we were badass, we'd say something badass and then start fighting them. But I don't know if that's what we're going to do.
It's roleplay. You get to choose.
That is true.
You can say the badass
Yeah,
thing.
but I have to roleplay as Latonk. I don't know whether it's something Latonk would do or not.
We don't know how badass Latonk is. He's been holding back.
We don't
so
know
far.
anything about Latonk. Latonk's characterization, in fact, might vary wildly between episodes.
A mystery, wrapped in enigma, wrapped in a pan. Well, duplicitous as you may be, I shan't be making that a reality for you. However, I would appreciate if you could perhaps consider some other means of reward. And she's just going to go to walk off.
All right. Harvey turns to William. You need to go right now. I will deal with this. And he walks after you enough. William sheepishly smiles up at you, Trees.
Mhm.
He offers you Benjamin.
Okay, I will take Benjamin. Hello, little fella. I guess you're not going to get to live here and have food after all.
Wait, what?
I don't know. Am I permanently taking Benjamin?
I think you were just holding him.
Okay.
Although I do like
Yeah.
the idea that eventually you just become a walking zoo.
Shh.
I think Jane's okay with that too.
I think that's her end game.
Shh. Okay, so I will take Benjamin the rat and give him little strokes.
All right.
Okay, enough's going to turn to Harvey.
All right. I'm afraid I'm not acquainted.
You may call me Enough. I am an envoy from the House of Rose, and we were summoned here by a letter from your brother, which has occurred several times, and many such letters have been sent, and summoned dozens, perhaps even hundreds of adventurers to this place, and to their deaths. There was a problem in the basement. There were dead animals coming back to life and attacking the living. They had gotten out into the sewers, they had gotten into the town. I have rectified that, and I did so on the understanding that when your brother, who until recently was the last member of your house, passed away, that my house would receive the estate and everything associated with it as a reward, which, to be fair, given the state of the town, would practically be a work of charity at this point.
All right. That's a lot to take in. And I'm going to throw another one at you. You wouldn't happen to know how long I've been dead.
The first time we met, you were in an urn, in a box, under several feet of water that had drained from a sewer that I had to dive into off a 40-foot cliff after killing 4 zombie crocodiles. I'm afraid I can't tell you much more.
Somebody really wanted me to stay dead. Okay. Well, there's obviously a lot that I cannot fix. So let's start by rectifying debt as much as we can. What can our house do for you?
It isn't money that my house needs. It's very prosperous. However, it is small, has poor military, and very little to defend itself with. This area would simply have been a holdout, so we may have some land well placed, and your house will swear fealty to mine.
Done. And if it's force that you're after, we might not look it, but we can help make that happen. You're gonna have to. He kind of looks around, realizing refamiliarizing the state of the manor, he catches a glance at the chair that's nailed to the wall and just frowns.
Mood. Big mood.
Yeah, this looks bad.
You're telling me? And I live in a fucking forest.
Fealty means everything to this house, and I can assure you that your assistance means everything. Not just to me, but to my brother, though you might not realize it with him like that.
Is he not usually like that?
It depends
On what?
how many times he's died and come back, and what he's like when he comes back.
But it chew apart a bit, does it?
If you want to hear about the history, I can tell you about the history of our family, although I'm not sure if that's something that actually interests you or not.
I'm intrigued, sir.
Well, this house has always, as you acutely were aware, had a strange relationship with death. The ancient Moors were the first men to come upon a stream that they called the River of Life. Now, it's complicated, divine, nobody's sure how it works, but it gives off powerful life magic beyond the control of anything that I've ever seen anywhere else. The problem is that its power goes beyond what other people can control, so it doesn't work like you want. Nobody ever comes back quite the same. He kind of like wipes his face, looking and frowning at the paint that is like coming off. I don't know. I painted landscapes, many of the portraits here. I don't know why I'm wearing paint, and beyond that, I'm still not acquainted. But every person that comes back, they come back a little different. Sometimes it sticks. First time I died was as a boy, and when they brought me back, I could fly for a little, and I still can. He like kind of demonstrates by hovering just for a moment.
Enough's just going to shoot trees a look, like I guess it wasn't just me that got stuffed over.
Your brother mentioned something about a spear that you used to fly with.
Yeah. Do you know what happened to it?
Yes, he gave it to me as payment for our first foray into your catacombs.
Of course he did.
Am I to assume that it has absolutely nothing to do with the ability to fly, and is simply a spear?
No.
Ah.
That's helped me. As my natural gifts waned, the spear made up for them. And my family is nothing without their word, so if he promised you that spear, it's yours. I'm sad to see it go.
How does one resurrect a person using that stream?
Well, there are limits. You have to have remains of some kind. The more that you have of the body, the more likely they are to come back correct. There are limitations. Sometimes the stream doesn't work. The first lords of the stream, they just kind of experimented with it, killed people indiscriminately to bring them back.
Charming.
It's been a long time since then. Yeah, he doesn't look happy describing this.
And what's all this about painting in other worlds?
Oh, when you're free from death, when you're freed from fear, you kind of experiment.
Right.
The family has a history of studying the arcane, some in an attempt to better control and understand the stream, some out of boredom. My brother, before he was like that, was a big scholar, studied, learned facts, fiction, myths, legends. He was one of the people in the early days to suggest combining magic with elements that most people don't usually do.
Kind of elements.
Paint, for one. He knew my love for painting, and he wanted to see if I could capture essence stronger, paint landscapes and try and bring them to life. And it worked. And then he started to wonder if he could bring those places to life. And that worked too.
So, you were creating whole other worlds. These weren't places that existed that you were creating doorways to. They literally existed only from your creation.
William knows it better. He tells me certain worlds don't work, worlds that don't make sense. He thinks it's because the place does have to exist. I can't paint uh, a land of fire, a place where everything is dark all the time. They have to obey the laws of nature to exist. He thinks they're real places.
Well, that's pretty interesting.
Could these portals be used to travel?
I don't see why not. It'd just be dangerous if you went somewhere without a surefire way back.
If, for example, I wanted to return to my home estate?
If you wanted to be sure that you were going to your estate, then I think I would have to go there and paint it myself.
Have you not even tried experiments like that? Like, can I paint the town and just go there?
No.
That does rather draw me back to something that's been on my mind. How do you remember the town?
It's a town with people in it. I don't understand your question.
The fishing's dried up, the land is practically poisoned and useless to grow anything on, the town's nearly abandoned, the mayor is incapable to say the least. Does that sound like the town you remember?
No.
Well, unfortunately, that is the town that you are in charge of.
I've been dead a while, I guess.
Seems like it.
Whilst I am sorry for the loss of your time, it is your responsibility to look after that area, and I really must implore you to start doing so immediately.
What happened to your brother?
Which time?
I mean, you said he wasn't always like he is now. How has he gotten to the state of that he's in?
How many times did he have to die for that?
I mentioned that sometimes you come back wrong. He was always bookish, more interested in experimenting, like you suggested, having me paint places, try and go there. He went on forays, and rather than be assured of his safety, he sent missives. He'd go into those worlds, cut off a finger, and leave it here. And if he felt like he couldn't make it back, he'd die. Have me fish him out.
And because there wasn't much of him that he was sending back, then there was less and less of him to resurrect.
Broke his mind a little bit each time, I think.
I can imagine.
It didn't occur to me to ask him if he was even learning anything from this, if he was retaining any memories from when he went in. By the time I thought to ask, he'd already faded a lot. So I told him he wasn't to do it anymore. He used to try and fix himself.
In what way?
Just live, be.
And did he?
You're not meant to die and come back this many times.
Clearly.
No, I don't think he did. He's about as bad as I remember him before I died.
How did you die last time?
There was a girl, a village, and some creatures.
Any idea what kind of creatures?
No,
Hmm.
I remember it was overwhelming. It was more than I could handle by myself. Was the laugh in character or was it not in
That was
character?
entirely out of character. It's every time you say more.
Okay.
Okay. Thoughts, anyone?
Okay. So you're aware of how unnatural and damaging it is to keep being resurrected. Would you be happy to just let go?
It's a weird thing to ask somebody who just came back to life. I'm not sure yet. I'm happy to be here. I'm happy to see my brother again. And it pains me to see the state. He kind of like puts his hands up and gestures around to the giant fucked up castle. And what you're telling me about the lands that I'm in charge of, we are in charge of, that's what my death did. Presumably. I don't know. But it didn't help.
I suspect your brother did most of that, actually. He seems reckless with other people's lives. I suppose if you can resurrect people, you're probably going to have a flimsy outlook on it.
Yes.
Maybe.
He doesn't seem to have paid much mind to resurrecting any of those adventurers.
It doesn't work quite like that always, but I can't say that he's tried. I wouldn't know.
I would assume not. They simply seem to have been left where they fell, to be eaten by rats.
Like Benjamin?
Were your parents alive when you died?
Yeah, I'm guessing they're not now.
I'm wondering why we found your remains in a chest, in a river, in the catacombs, overrun with monsters. Presumably to prevent your brother from getting back to you.
The chest was sealed with some symbols matched by your family's signet ring. Seems strange that anyone other than a member of your house would use such a thing.
He kind of frowns at that. I'm not my brother before he was like he is now. I'm not clever like him, not by a half. But it seems to me that you're suggesting that he put me there.
That's not what I'm suggesting at all.
He seemed very, very interested in getting you back. An unhealthy obsession, which, as I have mentioned, has cost several dozen lives.
You said yourself someone didn't want you to come back. The first thing your brother does when he gets your remains is to bring you back.
Again, as sorry as I am for your personal problems,
This is fucked up.
there is an untenable amount of damage that needs to be seen to, and you need to start seeing to it. Would you be willing to attempt to bring some of those adventurers back?
Yeah.
And do you have any understanding of any magic your brother may have used or failed to use that would have caused the damage to the lands?
My guess, what made this place so lively was that water. The stream.
Are you telling me the stream is finite?
In the hundreds of years that I've lived, it's never been finite. In the centuries that it's been here, it hasn't been, which is concerning.
Well, I would appreciate if you would look into that to see if anything can be mended. And also, I feel like you need a word with your mayor.
I'd be quite interested in finding out about that river and why it stopped working at the same time that he died and they put his ashes away from his brother who could resurrect him with the stream of life.
And I'd just like to see the streaming generally.
Have a splash about.
No, I just want to see it. Have a bit of an investigate.
Yeah, okay. I need to figure this place out.
Well, do you both agree that it would at least be kinder to give the gentleman one evening to right himself?
And does he not know where the river is? Sorry, do you not know where the river is?
Not in this incarnation of this house.
So the house changes as well?
A lot changes about this place.
Yeah?
I don't mean that like a wistful kind of way. This used to be livable. I don't know how long my brother's been alone.
Well, if your parents were alive when you died, a very long time.
That would make sense. That would make the voice and laugh and kind of vacant stare make sense too. I'm sorry for the trouble that he's caused, and for the trouble that you've all went through,
Wait,
and I'm sure for
sorry, William would know where the river is, wouldn't he?
He's been packed off to bed.
Ah, jeez.
He'll only get uppity if you disturb him.
Shall we head back to town? And then we can come back tomorrow. We can also, while we're there, maybe check out some of those dangerous bits, those bad evils.
Yes. Well, thank you very much for your time, my lord. I very much appreciate that things have started to make sense, fantastical as it sounds.
well, thank you for everything you've done, all of you.
Have you ever visited the Peacock Feather in town?
Yeah, it was a tavern
Indeed.
in Upper District, right? It was small when I was last there.
Would you be so kind as to attempt to send something there through one of your portals, if you are familiar enough with it?
Sure. Like, what did you want?
Just a note will suffice. Something to tell us it worked.
Yeah, I can do that.
Well, unless my companions require anything, I shall bid you good day, sir.
I'm gonna hand him Benjamin.
Litonk's going to do a little sort of, is it a curtsy? The sort of bend a knee sort of thing.
Yes,
Yeah.
that's a curtsy.
Yeah, Litonk's going to curtsy.
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 Not Kersey?
Just walks out of the building
Litonk's
swearing.
going to do a curtsy.
Just fucking bow.
Fucking undead twats.
I mean, you could do both, but I'm not sure it'll endear you to him.
Fuck this, fuck you, I'm out.
Fuck this shit, I'm out.
Litonk is going to do a perception check. I don't think this is going to do
Okay.
anything. I just want to try perception if Litonk can figure out where the river is. It is wisdom, which I have +2, but I don't have proficiency in it. 15.
Okay. Kind of looking around, you
See a pan?
definitely... Yeah, you see... God damn it. Okay, listening around, you can't hear anything that jumps out to you as like running water, or even like the sound of still water, which you're also semi-familiar with.
Okay. I didn't think it was going to work, but yeah. Also, being able to hear still water is a pretty good skill.
Can you not?
What, can I not hear still
Can you not
water?
hear
What about this cup next to
Yeah.
me has been making a racket this whole time. I'm just hoping that, like, the noise filter will take it out. So, do we head to the cart then?
Yes.
Yeah.
Nice.
So we get in the cart.
Uh-huh. I'm not gonna... Do you have anything to say to each other in the cart?
No, we're going to sit in awkward silence.
No, Enough's just going to sit looking annoyed.
So what do you make of all this resurrection trees?
I'm a bit concerned that perhaps the reason that everything around here looks so dead, so dying, is perhaps that the resurrection is sucking the very life out of the earth.
An interesting theory. However, as I seem to recall, the only living thing at the top of that hill is in closest proximity to the river.
We don't know where the river is.
I assume somewhere near the keep.
So could it be then perhaps that somebody blocked up the river And that's what's causing the lack of life around here.
Yeah, that's more my thinking. That the parents put Harvey's remains in a place that William couldn't retrieve them, and then they blocked up the river of life to prevent William from ever resurrecting Harvey. And why did he resurrect Harvey and not his parents?
Maybe he doesn't know where any bits of them are.
Aren't they in the catacombs?
I don't seem to recall him looking for them downstairs.
I think there's a bigger plot here.
Okay, so we back at town yet?
Yeah. The three of you managed to pull the cart into or back in front of the Peacock's Feather. When the three of you enter, Anna kind of waves at you. I found this note or drawing.
Enough's gonna reach out a hand.
She places a small piece of parchment. There's a lot of faded scribbles on there and a picture of a rat.
Thank you very much, miss. And she's gonna pass the rat to Trees.
Okay, I'm gonna insight it, I think. But first I'm gonna cast guidance on myself by attaching myself. I feel so guided.
I shouldn't have said anything the first time.
No, I mean I thought it as soon as I was reading about doing it.
I want to know how this escalates, because I feel like it might.
When she read about doing it, she figured out how to touch herself?
Yep. So maybe that's what I was working out when I was asleep yesterday morning. Or pretending to be. So that's 26, not natural. What can I tell from the rat?
You can tell that this is definitely a picture of Benjamin. It's not labeled, but looking at it, you get the same sense.
This is what we got sent through from the moors.
And it appears that there was impressions of magic on it, but you can't tell what kind or what the intent was.
I'm gonna hand it to our magic user, or primary magic user. What do you reckon to this then? It's a bit magical.
10.
All right. Yeah, it's just got a magical energy coming off of it.
The same sort of weird feeling that the portals have, or a different one?
Same one.
It's reminiscent of the magic from the portals. I'm afraid I can't tell you much more.
Interesting. I reckon when we head back up the manor, we should probably take this with us and make sure it is exactly as it was sent.
It's a good likeness of your friend, at least in the meantime.
Yeah, it's alright considering they've only had the 10 minutes, I guess, in a cart? Half hour?
Who gave you the note, Anna?
It just kind of fell on the counter. She kind of looks up at the ceiling.
Is there anything on the ceiling?
No.
That's pretty impressive, I've got to be honest.
Well, I hope he refines it somewhat from dropping from the ceiling before we have to use it.
Have to use it? Okay. I suppose it might just come to that at some point.
So, shall we return this cart before our day's up and then let the dog find things that smell interesting?
Sure, doggo, go sniff some butts. And we're going to take the cat back.
Enough's just gonna twitch her ears at you like, that's not what I meant.
All right, the dog, as you say that, the dog just kind of gives you a nod, like a happy nod, and then just wanders off.
Litonk is going to try and find the captain.
I was kind of hoping we'd bump into him. I want to ask if he got a sending spell, or just that, Lord Mor's mental or lying.
Okay, right. Litonk is going to find the captain. Are you going to come as well?
What is...
Are you going to wait until you bump into him?
What's Enough gonna do?
Okay, so take the cart back, then go captain hunting while sort of following the dog about?
Yeah.
If you want to go directly, you go directly.
I mean, okay. Yeah, I'm going to go. Litonk's going to go directly try and find the captain.
Okay, we'll take the cart back.
All right. After a moment, Anna brings you the dog and says, "Please stop letting the dog behind the counter."
Doggo, don't go behind the counter, alright?
You said find Bud.
That's a good point. That's a good point. You stick with us for now, then.
Okay.
Good doggo. I give him a scratch behind the ears.
Doggo is happy. All right. So yeah, bringing the cart back's no problem. You kind of run into the half elf who loaned you the cart. He's looks pretty surprised, and I'll say you notice that he looks a little disappointed that you guys are back.
Lovely to see you again. How's it going?
It's stable.
Ha! Nice.
Something troubling you?
No. Should it be?
I'm quite used to people not being pleased to see me, but feels rude to extend that to my friend here.
It's not personal, but just you didn't bring all the stuff back. I could keep charging you for it.
If you're polite, we might rent again tomorrow.
Oh no, will you go to another stable here?
She's just going to pull herself up to her full height and just sort of lean slightly on her staff.
I was giggling at the idea of, as he said that in the background, the tongue had found a dog and was just on a rooftop and reared back on its haunches. Just shouted, "Fuck your stable!"
And Latonka's just having his own adventures, isn't he?
His adventures seem fun. I'm just trying to decide whether or not I should tase the stable guy.
He doesn't seem really that phased. He's definitely intimidated, but he's not really changing his attitude.
Okay. Enough size are just gonna go a little bit red, and there's just gonna be a slight earthquake as she walks off. Like, she's already in a bad mood. She's not going to vent it on this guy, but he's going to be made aware of it. Trees, are you coming? Or are you going to waste your time on him all day?
I'm going to give him a fairly dirty look and just turn around and walk off without saying anything.
Now, should we follow that dog of yours, or should we try and find Latonk and the guard captain? I'm not in a tearing hurry to meet him again, but I would like to see him at some point.
I think we should probably get to him. Well, maybe go the scenic route, make sure the dog goes at a walk, and see. How about we see about finding those places that smelt evil bad, see if we can find anything out about that.
Very well. Should we head through the market? At least get the beast something to eat?
Sure. Come on, doggo.
All right. So you, Trees, Enough, and Doggo are wading into the market, and Latonk, let's figure out where you went. Just pick evens or odds.
Odds.
Okay. So you find yourself wandering just in a direction. Again, you don't know this town that well. You're slightly familiarized yourself with bits of the town, but you find yourself in what seems to be a residential district, which you just guess because you can hear the sound of families and poverty.
The poverty was audible. What does
How'd
poverty
Dickensian-
sound like?
Unhappiness.
Families and unhappiness. Right, okay. I mean,
I didn't think misery was classist, but okay. So, where does he get a dog from to ride across a rooftop?
Yeah, I don't know. Latonk, you can hear people around you, but they're not paying you specifically any mind.
I don't know how to do anything that's going to be interesting. If he was looking for the captain of the guard and then found himself in a residential district, he'd probably just be like, I'm in the wrong place, and head back the way he came.
So you telling me you're not going to go see a man about a dog?
Nah. Oh, okay. Yeah, no, he is just going to turn around and go back to the way he came. I was thinking of stabbing someone
Okay.
to get their attention or something, but then I realised he's got like a code of
Oh,
honor
God.
and boring shit like that. Yeah.
While you're wandering, you do hear incredibly heavy footfalls approach you, and all of a sudden you hear like a raspy, like kind of growly voice. Excuse me.
I guess we'd better do some credits then. I'm Becky Toothill, and I can be found as Curiosity Epidemic on Twitter, SoundCloud, and YouTube. And if you wanted to see the character sheets for anybody that we're playing as, then they can be found on curiosityepidemic.wordpress.com. James didn't want to record any credits, but you can have these two.
I am Jane Eris Magnet. I can be found on Twitter and YouTube as Maniac Janiac. I can be found on SoundCloud as Jane Eris Magnet, where I do a comedy podcast talking about various bits of interesting media and music and stuff, games we've played, and lots of silly skits. That's Queer and Pleasant Strangers that I do with Laura Kate Dale. Also on stonemonkeyradio.blog, where I write reviews. And I can be found every Thursday UK time around 19:30 hours over on twitch.tv/Janiac, where I'll be playing something with the help of my sexy potato squad, my wonderful streaming community.
Hi, this is Nick, the Dungeon Master for the game, and you can find me on Twitter, Twitch, and stream at the Nick Flair. And if you'd like to read some media analysis and self-reflections that I'm writing, you can follow my blog at storieswithnick.blog. Thanks for listening.